folks, we back another week. We end in June on a strong note. Mental Health Awareness Month. This was a great month. But today you got double for your trouble because we going to hit it hard. We're going to indulge. But we're going to get to the root of some things here. And we're going to have a good topic today because we need to really identify where we are, what we're doing, and how we got here instead of just overlooking stuff. So our guest today, we got Mr. David Ross and we have Mr. Holloway Coach, which is going to be on our show. But folks, we're going to be talking about the real logistics of men, divorce, separation, how we overcome this stuff. But the biggest thing, how does that affect the family? You know, we know a lot of brothers done walked out of the house, didn't look back because they was hurt, they were damaged. And guess what? They never found a way to reconcile what happened to the family. You left 2 or 3 kids there, mamas, trying to maintain. You was the breadwinner. But we lost focus of our reason is we supposed to be the priest of our household. We got to be honest with this thing. And we supposed to provide. So without further ado, I'm going to let my guests give a little brief introduction before we start getting into these questions and really digging into it and go from there. Mr. Ross, Mr. Holloway, give us a brief introduction of y'all right now.
Okay. Well, I'm David Ross. I'm a grandfather. I'm a retired business owner, and I do a lot of civic work, including a youth golf academy, teaching young folk the game of golf and life's lessons through golf.
Okay.
I'm Holloway Coach. Mr. Ross didn't tell you that he and I go way back. I'm 17 years old, and we used to ride through the city together on DC Transit. But we shared some good times growing up in the inner city and learning about life. And as life has afforded me, an opportunity to be part of this faith movement. I'm not a holy roller, but I do believe that there's a power greater than us. And
Amen.
I believe that's what brought Dave and I myself back together again, because we had that same belief that there is something greater on the inside of us. We just don't know how to tap into it to move forward because of the crowded noise that's around us. And so we're on the same path, and we're looking forward to mainly, as I like the way you open up, this is about family and the man being in the headship. He's got to take the lead and take baby steps, but he got to step. He got to do something. And so I'm just pleased to be able to broadcast with you, Brother Johnny, and my good friend, Brother Dave. And hopefully we can help someone who's on there listening, who may have questions that we can probably help and begin to show them a more excellent way. If that's
absolutely. And we just so thankful for that because we deal with a lot of things out here. I tell everybody, I can testify. I walked away from divorce. The family was damaged. I was damaged. Some of the family still damaged. But how do I reconcile that? How do I go back and just give us your ideas? How does that really affect the family as men, African-American men, walking out of that household and knowing that we have left the family behind?
Okay, well, leaving a family behind is as traumatic as the divorce, the separation. That brings upon trauma on the entire household. Having said that, one would have to figure out a way to step outside of themselves and realize what you felt is not all about you. You were hurt, you were damaged, but so was the entire family. How do I turn this turn this around and be able to communicate with my family to let them know that I still love them, that I still care? You have got to say, this is not all about me. And
Thank
so does your former spouse. She's
you.
got
Right.
to agree that communication is going to have to be the key. And I'll let brother coach elaborate on that.
Well,
Mhm.
you just anchored in, and that when there's a divorcement or separation, communication is cut off immediately.
Right.
And then the noise that comes into the ears of those who have reached that point where they think they need to divorce, they,
Mm-hmm.
instead of them trying to pull you together, they're
Right.
to separate you apart. And I say that to say, because if we look at the record, the record will show that in most cases, the man
Hmm.
is the one who has to carry the burden. The
That's
man
right.
is the
Yes.
one who is going to be hurt financially. Because, brothers, if there's a
Right.
sister of mine, she may differ with me, but
Hmm.
having been down that road before, you have to
Hmm.
turn everything over. You
Yes.
Right.
you lose it all.
Yeah.
And, but that's not the end all. I think
Hmm.
God has designed a path for us and
Hmm.
tries us through these separations, but He really wants us to lean and depend on Him because I've seen where things have been reversed.
Hmm.
Things
Right.
have come back to reality. And watch it. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna get out the way. We may not never hear it, but
Hmm.
I've heard it in the ears of others. I let go of a good man. Never said to me,
Right.
but through
Right.
my son, I've heard, kind of statements like that, because of what she has gone through and experienced as a result of,
No.
leaving me. And marriages, you're trying this thing out,
That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
No
trying to figure
instructions.
out where the triggers are.
But
Right.
again,
And when you hit a trigger, don't mean that you pull it.
Right.
you know,
right.
they hit a
Yeah.
trigger and they pull it. So it's a lot of dynamics. But I do believe there's always opportunity, and I think Brother Dave hit it right on the head. Communication. Once that's lost,
Yeah.
then I'm not saying all bets are off, but it's hard to kind of come back
Right.
to
Well,
the center.
you can regain communication. You have to, particularly when there are kids involved, by simply saying, "I was hurt at the time. I'm sorry. My actions probably outweigh what we were both expecting.
Hmm.
Whatever." Just sometimes be the bigger and just apologize, even though you may not have done anything wrong.
That's right.
Right.
But
That's
you're opening the door with kindness.
right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's where you have to get back to even move forward, or even to realize that maybe that door is closed, you know.
Yeah. Somebody asked a question. Many men are taught to wear a protective stealth mask. How does suppressing emotions in front of your partner or children impact the emotional safety of the entire home? You got to wear this mask, like you're so
Yeah,
masculine
yeah,
as
yeah. Well, that comes down from generations, particularly in the African American community. We are the Thors, we are the superheroes, we are the lead. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to be the lead, you're going to have to act like the lead. You're going to have to do things that's going to uplift your family.
That's right.
men.
Okay, you got to your family has got to have confidence in you being in that chair.
That's
You're
right.
not just granted that, you've got to earn that.
Right.
Once you earn it, you can start teaching and leading, and families thrive and they grow.
That's true.
You can always. I was in a situation for many, 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 many years and should have done something about it long before I did. But I wanted to be absolutely sure. I gave it my last effort. I gave it my
Mm-hmm.
last
Right.
chance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when you reach those levels, you're going to need help.
Mm-hmm.
This is not
Hmm.
something you can handle on your own. You're going to need help from within your family. You're going to need help even from the person that you are separating and or divorcing from. I still think that it's wise unless things are just too volatile, to have some level of communications, because again, saying that I'm sorry or seeking a realization of what really happened, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And the question came up. Hello, Miss Deborah. Deborah just wanted to stop by and say hello. Welcome to it. And we had another question here. It said, what is the difference between leading a family and having emotional shutdown mindset?
Oh my God. You can't leave if you're shutting out.
Okay.
You really got to when you wear this leadership spirit or robe, you're the prince or you're the king of your home. You have to leave all doors open. You have to leave. Sometimes you have to even open the windows. You cannot afford to shut anything out. Reason being is because that becomes, what people attack. The one thing that you shut out, it could be something minor, and then that leads to something else. Just as we see open hands in leading a family, your hands have to be open, not only just to give, but to receive. And I believe as the man of the house, of the family, we got to receive it all. I mean, whether it's good or bad or ugly, it's how we respond to it. And when we respond, as I heard Brother Dave responded to the earlier question, where we look soft, deep down inside, our spirit is telling us something else. But for the sake of the optics, the parent, especially when children are around, or you got in-laws living in the house, or you got walls that got paper thin, your neighbors and everything. We have to be very delicate because listening ears can interpret it something totally different. And before you know it, when you thought you were on the road to recovery, it turns out the road to disaster. Yeah. So we have to be very careful about our optics and how we respond.
And the responsibility of those optics. That's right.
Yeah. That's right.
Absolutely. That's right. And that brings us to this. How does, the barbershop talk I give it, the divorce and separation, you sit around, how does that affect today's men? You might hear in the barbershop, man, she did me dirty, so I had to do what I have to do, or man, I ain't tolerating none of that, how does that affect society? Because now we're in that barbershop and we having those conversations. We got young people. Yeah. We got young people. They hear that, and that changes their whole mindset.
Well, I think when you are going through something as huge as a separation or a divorce, or even getting married, any of those things, you have to have a complete and total understanding. You got to talk about things that most of us don't talk about.
That's right. Okay.
We got to talk about one. You love this woman the way she looks. Everything's going great. What about her moral understanding versus yours? Okay, the kind of things that we pray to God to meet a beautiful, attractive woman that will hold your interest and so on and so on. But you forgot to ask for somebody with morals. Okay. Okay. So what do you have? What do you have? But the shoe goes on both sides.
That's right.
The man could be the same. It could be the man could be the advocate. He could be the weak link, if you would. But you have to have a common understanding, and we never talk about those small things, as we call that little print. Okay, what are we going to do after we get married? What are we going to do about the mortgage? How are we going to address our bills? How are we going to pay our bills? We don't want to talk about those things.
That's right.
No. Our credit ain't right.
Okay. So you gotta put it all out there. You gotta put it all out there so she'll know that she won't be shocked and there won't be a divorce 6 months down the road. You told me you had an 800 score, now you can't even spell 500. So it's being truthful, being honest, and putting the cards on the table. And realizing what it takes to put together a real marriage.
That's right.
Most of us don't start with all of the parts. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
And that's
interesting.
And Chuck had a good comment on that.
I got stained by barbershop talk. There were some hurt men in there, and they never told us younger men the truth. They would always be strong. You got to be strong. And then I learned from an older, wiser man in there. You know what he would tell me when they're gone? Don't listen to that. and he would tell me the real story. You know, you find yourself somebody that you can get along with. He said, I don't care how ugly she is, as long as you get along with her. He said
Okay.
they're going to get you in trouble
That's
because they
right.
were all back. You know, they were all, you know, man, she look. That's the one you want, and that's what you need, and that's what I got. And when you look at the backstory, most of them, as we're talking right now, have issues that they're afraid to bring up in the barbershop,
That's
other
right.
than the toughness, you
Yeah.
know, other than, you know, where I was last night. You know, I was down
Right.
with all the big guys hanging out at you know, when we used to go to fights in the District of Columbia.
Right.
You know, that was kind of the talk, you know, and guess what? That attracted to me. You know, yeah, I
Right.
want to be like that. But the old guy told me, you don't want to do what they do. And I'll end on this note right here. And what I found out about most of those guys, most of
Mm-hmm.
them have been locked up for years.
Years.
And
Wow.
they brought that toughness into the barbershop because that was their sale.
Platform. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they could blow it up in there because everybody said, "Oh, he did a bit, you know, did a bit,
Mm-hmm.
did a bit, did a bit," and so that scared me. I said, "Well, I ain't gonna say nothing because I haven't done a
Right.
bit and
Right.
don't want to do one."
Right. Right. And Chuck made a good statement there that it said that's right because the looks only last for so long. No matter how good they look, it has to be more than the overall package,
That's
which
right.
is so important. You know, you got to come with a total package when they're coming in. Welcome Nicole as well as she coming in as well. And half of the barbershop talk is fabricated or what
That's
they
right.
want you to hear
Okay.
that makes them look good. Yeah.
80% of it's fabricated. Okay.
That's right. That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
And somebody asked the question, how do men balance the pressure of being resilient provider with the need to be emotionally available and vulnerable? So I got to provide now, but I got to work two jobs because that's what's going to take care of my family. And I'm absent in the house now. You know, how do we overcome that and be vulnerable and tell the kids, hey, the reason why I'm not here is because I have to provide.
Well, see, those kind of, again, this conversation that needs to be at a family meeting, at family dinner. You know, Dad's got to take a second job now. I've got to work more hours. Things are getting more expensive. We want to make sure that we can provide everything for you. You have to let them understand that you are doing this for them. You're not just going out there taking on extracurricular activities just to be hanging out. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's,
And that's important.
yeah, exactly.
I learned with my son, believe it or not, I took him everywhere that my father took me. Hold his hand, the ball games, you know, the football games, to the circus. I took him to the barbershop with me, everywhere to the doctor's office. And I tried to explain to him, you know, who I am and why I'm doing this because I wanted to be an example for him. And I shared with him, I won't always be around. And he never understood that. You know,
Okay.
he didn't know that I was going through a divorcement, and that's what I was trying to break down to him. He thought
Mhm.
that I was getting ready to die. I said, "Well, I am going to do that." But the just having that conversation at an early age, where you can bury a seed and you may not see the fruit of it. But if men don't begin to bury that emotional, see, because he saw me cry, he seen me cry, and he seen me, you know, pleading and never heard me cursing anybody out though, because my father taught me that if he see you do it, he's gonna do the same thing,
Same thing. That's right.
and
Mhm.
that made a big difference. Now it didn't save the marriage, but it saved my son. and
Right,
and
right, right.
so
For it.
so we do have that relationship, and he's doing the same thing prayerfully with the young women that he's seeing.
Yeah, and it takes a lot for a man to be vulnerable and
Yes,
and to really pour down. And we need that more today.
that's
You
Oh
right.
know,
yeah.
to be vulnerable, to understand that thing. And somebody said many times family members express themselves more harshly due to deep vested interest in each other. How do you handle feeling judged or criticized at home? And how do you prevent your mindset from spiraling into resentment?
Oh my God.
Wow. Again, I don't want to sound like a cliche. A lot has to come out in conversations. A lot has to be discussed. A lot has to be realized who is going to take responsibility of doing what. A lot of things just stem from understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And when two people understand one another and they are doing things in a right manner, in a family setting type manner, then you bring your kids in when they get to be old enough to understand what's going on. You talk to them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's essential. It's essential to get past any of the things that come up. Things are going to come up. Things come up all
Mhm.
the time. It's just a matter of how we handle them. And most of the times, again, as I said before, you have to take yourself out of the equation and realize it's not all about you.
Right.
It's not about you.
You.
It's about it's about our household and how we're going to make this thing work harmoniously. How are our kids going to be happy? How are our kids going to go to school and work hard if they know that we are both on the other side of that wall, supporting them, doing the best that we possibly can. So we have to talk about everything. And I know that sounds cliches, but that's the only way it works.
Works, and that makes sense. And during that time, y'all probably had to have mentors. I know I did. When I joined the military and stuff,
Oh yeah.
a role model, a mentor that guided you through the situation where you heard the barbershop talk, you heard the tough man, tough Tony. Yo, bro, don't put up with none of that stuff. They ain't permanent. Go ahead and get your eight. Because the ratio was 8-1. They used to, get your eight. You know,
Okay.
don't worry about that other stuff. Get your eight. Don't worry about selling down. But how did that affect the role model? Talk y'all into some logic,
I
into
had a series of role models, and being so ignorant to what they were trying to share with me,
right.
I looked at them like, oh my God, there goes Mr. Brown who owned the corner store. I didn't want to hear what he had to say, but he was giving me some guidance and sharing with me, you don't need to be on this corner after 8 o'clock at night, because what happens after 8 o'clock at night, your father don't need to see you, here. And then other role models were ones who really, really took the time out and spent time not just with me, but came by my house and talked with my
Mm,
father and my mother and shared. I saw
mm,
your son, over here in this corner, and I want to look out for him. And I didn't like it, but I learned down through the years, those men had instilled so much into me because I
right.
started listening. I wasn't listening to what they were saying. I thought they were trying to reprimand me, but
Hmm.
all along they were trying to guide me because they had boys. And just to be real quick, the community that we grew up in, and Dave can tell you, I lived in a different zip code that he did, but guess what? When I
Right.
went to the area where he lived, people up there knew my father through some
Right.
means or another, because that's just how broad the community was.
Right.
So we were able to adopt different types of mentors and those who counseled us and just told us what was right and what was wrong.
Hmm.
I
And I
hope
think
I'm
some of that
I
happened.
keep don't let me get too far down the road now.
No,
I'm trying to
no.
keep it real.
Well,
We got to.
well,
We got to have that conversation with them to do that. And it said children don't need necessarily perfect fathers,
That's right.
which they need present ones.
That's right.
Um,
absolutely.
that's
Absolutely.
there. And what's the most effective way? We need to tell some of these men in society now, what's the most effective way to carve out that time for our children, for them young men, instead of saying, just come with me and, watch what I do. How do we carve out that time so they can decipher
Mm,
Well, you got to
what's
be present. You got to be present in their lives, and realize what they like.
mm,
Whether it's sports. If a kid had decided what sport he likes, this, that, and the other, then you just play catch with them. You walk with them. You talk with them. But the bottom line is spend time with them.
that's right.
Spending
mm,
time with them will help them in decision making times when they got to
mm,
make a decision about whether they're going to go with these other guys, and you've asked them not to to participate in those kind of activities, you've got to spend time with, if you want them to act in a manner in which the family would find acceptable.
And
We
then that's key.
we did an experiment with some young men, 18 to 40, and we were
Wow.
trying to meet them where they are. And so we offered Christ to them. And they said, you all hypocrites. So they didn't want to come into a church. So I said, well, if we brought you to a different setting, surrounding, would you come? So you know what they agreed to? Meeting in a warehouse.
Wow.
So we met in a warehouse, and it was so positive there. I said, oh my God, I got him in the boat now, right? So the next move was I said, well, okay, now that we've met you where you are, will you come meet where I hang out, And I found out, and I think I shared this with Dave, the one thing that all of them had was a playlist. And when I asked every last one of them in the room, do you have a playlist? All of their hands went up. And then I asked one of them, just tell me one thing that's on your playlist. What's on your playlist? And one guy said to me, you don't want to know what's on my playlist. So that told me there that there were influencers out there. So the light went on. I said, oh my God, I need to be an influencer. So I had to find something that they are attracted to. And I'm not a rapper. We came up under Gil Scott-Heron and it's in the bottle, or James Brown, But I said, we've got to make this change, not to change who we are, but to change our method to meet them where they are. So it's the same message, but it's a different method. And I'm just to fast forward, social media doesn't help, but it does help.
Yes.
And if you got the right thing on TikTok or Facebook, you can get a draw, But that kind of was what I'm still doing now, trying to, and I use the playlist when I want to, hook up with some young guys, Give me one off your playlist, I'll give you one off mine. They don't want to hear James Cleveland.
Hey, Keisha.
What can I say?
And sometimes men, we mess up, we lose our temper in the household and stuff, and the kids. How do we apologize to them children to show them that, hey, I had a bad daddy had a bad day today. No point intended for you to see this behavior in me, and be apologetic to the children. What's a good way of doing that without seeming like we losing our masculinity?
Well, if you lose your temper, let's say it's before dinner or after dinner or what have you, you make sure that kid, as well as your wife, know that you temporary insanity, call it whatever you want to call it, lost my mind, okay? And I'm sorry. Okay, I didn't. You want to let your son and your daughter know I didn't mean to scare you, and I'm sure this came as a shock to you, but I apologize. But before they go to bed at night, so that they can rest, and they're not worried about that all night long, before they lay their head down, you should have that conversation
and let them know.
We learned, don't let the wrath go down, and don't let the sun go down on your wrath.
Okay,
and that you need to make certain that you got a clear conscience. And Dave, you're right. It was so hard for me to tell my son that I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because it was like he was wanting to hear it. You're always right. You don't listen. Until my wife said, look, man, break down and tell this joker that here that you were wrong. I said, what's that going to do? She said, you'll be amazed. and so I said to him, I said, look, man, I said, and I told him the truth. I said, my father never told me that he was sorry for whipping me. He would say, this is going to hurt you worse than it hurts me. But for him to say he was sorry, no.
That wasn't happening.
No. So it was hard for me. But when I did it, I can truly say today, as a result of it, could have been that one thing. We have a much better relationship today than we did prior to when he was kind of a teenager running buck wild.
Okay.
And you said something so instrumental there, that your dad never told you sorry and stuff, and some of our older population right now um, talk about the instance of they trying to heal from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
my wife says this thing. She like, it was never no instruction for parenting.
That's right.
You know,
Right.
we did the best we can with what we had and everything. So our older population dealing with that trauma,
Mm-hmm.
what's the best way for them to let go? You know, do you believe just going through therapy, or do they have to have that partner that they can release to? What you think's a good outlet?
Well, I think therapy has its place.
That's right.
I was in a situation with someone for more than 2 decades. So when you're in a relationship that's that long and you've been with that person for that long, sleeping with them every night, so on and so on, so on, that's a lot to unpack.
That's right.
There's not one person that I know, and I knew the greatest guy, my superhero was my dad. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad gave me a real good book to realize who I was, how to treat women, how to treat my sisters, how to treat my mother, and so on. As a result, I'm a gentleman, and I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
But to get back to your question, we have to again be vulnerable, and it's okay. But therapy got me back on the right path.
Mm.
Mm.
As nice a guy as I am, and I think I'm a pretty nice guy,
Mm-hmm.
I was so hurt, I thought about hurting someone.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of trauma that we go through. It took me a while. At first, I wasn't going to go sit and talk to some stranger about my personal business.
Right.
I should have been there years before.
That's it.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay? And may have saved it. I don't know. But I'm just
Right.
saying, it got me. I'm realizing who I am. I know who I was before because I was
That's right.
providing for those around me. I wanted to
Mhm.
make sure that they were all happy.
Right.
Now it's my world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with myself. I'm happy with what I do. I'm happy with giving back to young men that I see on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
again, therapy has its place. It works.
It's positive reinforcement. You know, it took me a long time to realize that therapy was a good resource to manage some of the things I went through in life. You
Mhm.
know, from the military and leaving the house at 17 years old,
Yeah.
Mm.
and trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
Right.
Trying to figure it out, and then getting out there and getting married early, and thinking that I got all the answers to this
Right.
thing, to where my therapy was me going out there and having a drink.
Okay.
And we got picture. It was having a drink, coming back. My head's a little bit lighter.
Mhm.
All those other things I'm not hearing no more. I can come and lay down and sleep now.
Mhm.
So I'm
Okay.
like, oh, I'm good.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
great. To
Yeah.
Right.
when I should have been sitting down saying, you know what, God, what you have me to do out here, man? I'm messed up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm messed up. I'm broken, and this is what I need help with. Instead
Mhm.
of feeling, I thought therapy was for weak men. I got to be honest here.
Oh no. Oh
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Not at all. Not at
Now I
all.
know different.
Right.
When I was like, oh man, I ain't going to talk to nobody. Shoot, what they gonna tell me that I don't know?
Mm.
Instead
Well,
of listening.
it stabilizes. It stabilizes. Give you a fresh start. I didn't
Absolutely.
want to go into another relationship with baggage.
Right.
Was one of my reasons for doing it. But the
Mm-hmm.
real reason was I wanted to be able to be my best self.
Mm.
I don't care where I go. I'm going to look my best self. I'm going to act my best self. I'm going to think my best self.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I live my life. And
Mm.
I think if we all took a real close look at oneself and realize where you are, and then you ask yourself, how do I get to the next level? I
Mm.
want to do better. How do I do that? My brother Holloway and I talk about this all the time. We're spiritual beings.
Mm.
Spirit works through us, our bodies, through our being. But most of the time, we don't listen. We miss so many blessings because we're
Right.
hard headed.
That's
Mm-mm.
right.
We're just hard headed. We know too
Interesting.
much.
You raise it. Dave, don't get me on that biblical path because because I get too deep in here. I get lost in myself. But I too wish that therapy had been cultivated in our space growing up.
Yes,
Mhm.
It
yes.
wasn't cultivated, and brother Johnny, you're right. My therapy was some Wild Irish Rose or
That's it.
some cold duck,
That's it.
and it was the whole bottle. And then the problem come right back the next day, and you keep compounding and compounding. Then when you finally wake up, look at all the energy that you lost. And we talk about where we could have been, 20, 30 years ago had we not been exposed to those things that would have made us a better person. Because
Mhm.
the world had us thinking that you can't be great because look at you, you would never be great. Look at you. We didn't become great until somebody said, I am the greatest.
Okay,
I
We had
am.
to have
okay.
role models like that to come out, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud,
Wow.
and the ones who say high me town. I mean, I'm not the, trying to come down on anybody's racial
Yeah.
ethnic background, but we needed that kind of outspokenness, and then that
Mhm.
became my therapy. To
Mhm.
this day, I'll share this with you. I shouldn't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you anyhow. I get more energy from watching the old clips of Muhammad Ali and Louis Farrakhan, how he defends his faith, but he defends his manhood and he defends all men.
Okay.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you never know whether he's been rattled or not.
Right.
Because
Mm.
he will just back up for a minute and say, I can see him saying that this joker just threw me a left hook. Let me go
Okay.
and knock him out. And he does it with a smile,
Yeah.
but he has had that coaching that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know who Elijah Muhammad, I guess he was just, but back to this kind of covers what we're talking about. Having that richness, the
Mhm.
therapy, somebody to counsel you, that friendship, that love that is just not spoken, but
Okay.
is shown because love is action. All of those things help to build that man up. And I think we got all of that in us now that I'm learning Dave gonna make me go get some therapy because I think
Right.
there's still some stuff in me that could. I mean,
Right.
I got some scales on me that need to be
Yeah.
cleaned off.
Okay. Okay.
But but
Yeah.
but it is helpful to have some kind of counsel where you can lay your cards on the table,
Yep.
and have
Absolutely.
someone to really, really talk to you and not talk at you, but
At you.
talk with you and
You.
to you about whatever's going on.
Yeah. And it said men is generally building a legacy every day. And we build
Hmm.
a legacy every day by
I like that.
changing our habits, our motivation and stuff, and everything. What are the core mindsets you want your children to inherit from you about handling failure, expressing love, and managing stress?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Well, I don't know whether you can see behind you.
Yeah.
I have pictures of all the great ones, and I share with them all of these men and women died for a cause.
Wow.
And I share with my son, you need to find a cause, and you
Mm.
need to focus your energy on that cause. And if you truly invest in it, God will give you what you need so that you can survive. But you got to let him know that he gets the glory. But Black Wall Street, things I didn't learn about until later
Mm.
on in life.
Right.
I never knew that we could own a bank,
Okay.
own
Wow.
airports, own a city,
Okay.
own
Right.
a
Yeah.
town. And so these are the kinds of things that hopefully and prayerfully that will be sold into, not just me, but into other young people, that
Mm-hmm.
they can be great too. It's just a matter of focusing. And my brother showed me a book, 12 year, 12-week year, to begin to take the first step. You got to
Mm.
step out on faith
That
and
is the
believe
most,
that you can do these things.
I didn't mean to cut you off, brother, but that is the most dynamic tool that one can use to set any goal in life, whether it's monetary, whether it has to do with the kind of car you want to drive, whether it has to do with the relationship or education. 12-week year is the real deal.
Yeah. And it's good. And just going through your life experiences and trials right now, what makes y'all better today than you was previously?
Maturity. Maturity, learning to realize when, I won't say how to win a war, but to get along. I'm gonna put it that
mm,
way. Okay? I don't have
Mm.
to win. I don't have to win. I want to get along. I want to show you that I care, that this matters. Taking
Mm.
myself out of the equation, but wanting to put my family first.
mhm.
Mm.
But
And that's
Johnny,
it.
brother Dave, I've learned, even though I got some scales on me, but my integrity is all I
Mhm.
have left.
Amen.
I'm north of
Wow.
70, and if I were to leave a legacy behind, I'd rather that they say he was consistent. He loved when he loved through action, and
Mm-hmm.
you could go to him with anything, and he was discreet. He didn't share personal information about people who shared it with me, because as I said, I look at these uh, heroes and sheroes. They didn't tell their secrets.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
they didn't they didn't have to get on MS now and tell their secrets. They worked collectively on a cause. And
Mm.
that's what we I think we lost the cause because we gotten caught up, and
Good
I don't
stuff.
want to be one that's caught up. I want them to know that you call that brother, he gonna speak the truth to power.
That's
Okay.
right.
And he may step on your toes, but that's just where I am north of 70. And 10 years ago, I don't know where I was. I was somewhere.
And somebody said, how do you bridge the gap when your communication style is more action orientated and your partner's more emotional orientated? How do you deal with that?
Well, there's got to be a way that you can get that partner's attention. I don't know. There's no script, you know. It's just getting someone's attention, and they have to realize that they've got as much in this game as you have in this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if you're going to realize some kind of harmonious relationship, us getting together, us prospering together, starting a family, continuing with our family, wherever you are in life, you just have to make sure that everybody in that relationship realizes what their responsibility is. Everybody's got a responsibility in a relationship. We
Right.
just don't talk about it.
Right.
Right, right. And we have to. And folks, we're gonna have Mr. Holloway and Mr. Ross emails go across. We know it's somebody out there, you might not want to talk because some
Right.
men we struggle with picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, Mr. Holloway, I'm a little messed up, or I messed up my life, and can you give me some insight of how to get it right?" And man, just drop them an email and give them the opportunity so they can respond back, and so y'all can have a conversation, because what we don't want to happen is we keep doing the same thing.
over and over
Yes.
again. Right.
over and over. And our young people see it in our communities, and they start acting out, and we have to change the dynamics
Yes.
of what's happening with our young folks, how we dealing with them. Mr. Ross teaching them golf, Mr. Holloway's doing a playlist with them. We have to find those areas that we get that, because guess what, we're going to turn into like a combat zone again.
That's
If we
right.
don't get that,
Okay.
it's going to be a true combat zone. And somebody said, why is it so difficult for men to ask for support, whether from a partner, therapist, or community? And how does that isolate and affect the marriage? That I tell people that hinders your marriage when we can't have that. And man, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, again, you got to embrace one another, and it's not all about one or the other. You have to embrace one another, and everybody's got to realize they got skin in the game. I can't say it any simpler than that. It's work. It doesn't happen naturally. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Now, I was going to say part of my marriage counseling was some years ago. It didn't work with the other lady, but it was working with this one. Um, the pastor told me, he said, well, you all are old and grown. He said, I'm going to put it to you like this. Enjoy your honeymoon. Make every day your honeymoon. He said, because one day, one of you are going to back a tractor trailer up to the house, and it's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be loaded up in front of you that didn't come out. So his point was, get as close as you can, because when that comes, emotions are going to fly up, and then there may be some outward expressions that don't sound like love. So as I share with my wife, I say to her, if we got to argue about what Sally Sue said, then that ain't our conversation.
That's right.
Let's talk about a slice of pizza. What kind you want?
Something
Because
that
what
matters.
happens, it'll get emotional.
Right.
And then the other piece of advice we trying to share with each other, somebody got to stir the pot every day.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's right.
Because I mean, it could be anything,
Right.
anything to stir the pot. But you got to show, you got to calm, pat down those emotions, because she's wired to something. Because women are wired and men are too, and we want to pat that down and say, "Hey, I'm in your presence."
Right.
It's me and you now. All
Right.
that other extraneous stuff. We can deal with it, but that's not going to define who we are.
Amen.
Yeah. And our young men, they struggle with family life right now.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle with the ability to communicate, because guess what we have? We have these cell phones, we got these tablets, we sit down eating dinner, that go off, we trick. And we need to show how to change that environment, of sitting down, having some open conversation as men, even though, it might be something that you don't want to share. Hey, Dad, I met this chick. I really like her and stuff. But what's the game? The game is a plan for the future. If that's going to be the game, the
One of the
game
big-
is to have that. And go
one
ahead,
of the-
Dave.
One of the biggest takeaways I want people that they're listening is to do just that. Listen. Listen to your partner. Listen to your husband. Listen to your wife. Listen to your kids. They got something they're trying to say. And sometimes you think
Right.
you know everything because you're the dude, you're the man, you're the muscle, you're the superhero. But right now, you're not being a superhero.
Right.
Superheroes listen.
That's right. That's right.
And they watch, they observe.
Okay? That's right.
And they go there. And somebody said, describe the silent rules of masculinity in men were taught when growing up. Which of these should men try to break?
Try
Oh,
to
man.
break.
Yeah.
That it's a man's world. I mean, how many times did we hear that growing up?
Right.
It's a man's world.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
10 or 12 out there to one. So you're going to go out there, the
Listen,
17, 18, 20-year-old, you're going to get your 12 plus 12 more. Okay? Not real, guys. Not real. Okay? That's just been, man, I'm going to tell you the truth. My first love, when I fell in love the first time, buddy, I learned me a serious lesson. Okay? A serious lesson. Because I was whooped. And you know what I'm talking about. I was whooped bad. There's nothing I can do about it.
Ain't
Okay?
that the truth?
Okay?
Couldn't even see straight. Nobody could tell you nothing.
Buddy, I couldn't even think. Okay? I was on automatic. I knew exactly how to get to her house, and that's all that mattered.
That's it.
Okay?
And it was that convenience there for, and we have that now. That we have that, and Chuck said something. Miss Debbie said something. Aretha said it's all about respect.
that's right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And and Aretha made that song, and it stands out a lot on the song now when you listen to it today, probably than you heard it the first time.
Okay.
Of what we should be doing. So, how can our young men benefit from counseling and development to become better assets in the community? How can we reach them now? That is one of the hardest things for us to reach out young Black men right now in the community. And is it a trust issue?
I shared with some young men who I was trying to, bring into the fold with a bunch of older men to be their kind of their barriers, to help to guide them and their families. And the question I posed to them, I said, "Do you have young children?" Yeah. I said, "Are you concerned about their education?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said, "Don't you want to help to shape your child's education?" Yeah. I said, "Well, you should be at every PTA meeting. You should be the
Mm,
PTA president.
Okay.
You should be there when they play volleyball, when they play
Okay.
hockey, when they have soccer,
Amen. That's right.
wherever. If it's a girl, if your daughter wants to play flag football, you be there. You be the coach." And I said,
that's
you be amazed that the other young children who will see your leadership, Dad,
right.
not father, Dad, because the father's a donor. Dad is a
Okay.
man that
Okay.
shows up. And you will be showing them what a family look like. They'll be wanting to come over your house. And you'd be so impressed as to what you've done. Then the last point I shared with these young men was if you're under 45 years old, you need to take advantage of your community. Run for a local office.
Amen.
You
Mm,
got to do something.
Get
And
involved.
we learned this through this foolishness going on there. State's Secretary of State, one of the most powerful officers in the state. You know
mm.
how I found that out? This
How's
man
that?
down on wherever he is now, he may be in Mar-a-Lago, but
Okay.
he taught us that. He exposed everything. And so our young men need to take back our community. Then they can control the narrative. They can control what grocery stores come in their communities. I
That's
mean,
right.
but our young men aren't taught that because I tell you, I think I failed 11th grade history or civics or whatever. It wasn't interesting, but that's so important, to know that if we're going to make an impact, and young men today they're so smart. You'd be
Very
amazed
smart.
at what it takes to qualify just to be, work for, be a council person. I think here in PG County, I was
Mm-hmm.
told all you need is 2,000 signatures
That's it.
and you can run for elective office.
Right.
Every
Wow.
young man under 45 ought to have, and then if they don't
Wow.
make it, they ought to pool together and form their own party, you know.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
but they and we learn. I don't mean to take up too much time, but
No,
it's the
take it out.
model that's being presented to us now. You don't like the way this is done? Form your own. Don't call it a coffee party, dark coffee
Mm-hmm.
party. You know,
Right.
and and
Right.
and then you begin to start galvanizing these things in your neighborhood. You begin to speak up. Go to your town hall meetings. Find out ask a question. Let them
Right.
know where
Right.
and you'd be amazed at the responses that you get back. because they'll say, "Hey, we got a troublemaker down there on Apple Green Lane. Go down there and see what's going on with. See if he paid his taxes or his HOA." You
Right.
know,
Mm,
when they start coming at you from that angle, that means you're on to something. That
right.
that
Well, yeah.
that means
And
you
another
bucked the
thing,
nerve and you've challenged the power. So that's what I think we can begin to do with our young men to help them to direct that energy in a more positive space that can have impact on the community and their lives down the road.
it'll have
And
a
that's
huge impact on their lives, particularly in a local community setting. And most of all, vote. We can say all the things we want to say, but it ain't going to matter. And if you don't vote, nothing happens.
That's right.
nothing.
Nothing
That's right.
happens.
Nothing changes.
But see, our predecessors, our grandparents, our great grandparents, so they knew the value of a vote. Young
Mm-hmm.
people nowadays, they choose not to vote because they said it ain't gonna make any difference, but they're voting for Donald Trump if they don't vote.
That's right.
Mm,
Let's vote for
And,
him
mm-hmm,
or
mm-hmm.
and
folks like him.
that's right.
That's
And
right.
Maryland did, and Westmore, God bless him, a solid brother, but he should have let that previous governor legalize marijuana, not him.
Mm,
See, well, the carryover. This prior administration,
yeah,
they leave something on the table for you.
yeah,
President Obama had to pick up health care because the Clintons couldn't get it
right.
across the finish line. And I think this marijuana thing, I think he did it because that's what the constituents were asking for from this prior governor. I wasn't
Yeah.
asking for it. They should have asked me. I could have told them all the brain cells that it killed, when I was coming up,
Right,
because
right.
real quick, Johnny, when we were coming up, uh, what they used to call a nickel bag, and you didn't get
Yeah,
nothing with
yeah.
seeds.
Nickel dime.
Yeah, all you got was seeds in there.
Okay,
Right,
You may have got 2 good sticks.
okay,
right.
That was a felony.
okay.
Mm.
There's
That's
still
right.
brothers doing time that a felony, and you get a felony on your record.
Oh
Man, that
boy.
go with you like your birthmark, man, all the way to the grave, man.
That's right.
And,
And
and
and that
and
has
that's
destroyed a lot of brothers, man.
yeah, and man, it's so important for our community to understand these changes that's happening and grab our young people. I'm reaching out to every man out there to grab our young people and just have a conversation with them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Understand what's happening. See what's
Mm-hmm.
going on in their life. Take a
Mm-hmm.
valued interest in what they're doing to see how we can get them on this parameter. My heart goes out right now to that 19-year-old young man that got killed in Wilmington.
Sad, sad,
Mm.
sad,
That's
sad.
I mean, and man, we can't keep letting that stuff happen.
That's right.
We can say that cop is as wrong as what it is, but we got to try to figure out a way to be smarter and protect our community from stuff like that going on.
Mm-hmm.
And hearsay and stuff. So I'm empowering, I'm challenging men out here to, grab your son, your daughter, and let them know, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we have to have. Like Mr. Holloway said, we got to have a cause out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to have a cause. We can't continue to go out here, work every day, and come back home and wait for 25 years to get a little 401k or something without having a purpose.
Well,
Mm.
you want to challenge them to get involved in the community, challenge them to become a basketball coach, challenge them to become a
Yes.
soccer coach, challenge them to go to the PTA meeting, challenge them to be the first one there at the PTA meeting.
Yes.
Challenge them with all of that. Okay? And if they want a real challenge, tell them to bring their kids out. We'll set up a driving range exhibition for a bunch of kids that want to learn how to play golf down your way. All you got to do is give me a date and a time. We'll just have the fathers bring their kids out.
Mm.
That's right.
Mm.
That's right. And that's so important, Mr. Ross, that we need to challenge them to do those things so our energy is going into a meaningful way,
That's
That's
right.
right.
a
That's right.
meaningful situation.
That's right.
Brothers out there, we got to be the priests. We got to be the leaders that's guiding our young folks and changing the mindset. Don't misunderstand me. Are they going to be a challenge at time? Absolutely, because I was a challenge growing up.
Absolutely.
Everybody was a challenge. But
Right.
guess what? Nobody gave up on us. Look,
That's
look,
right.
look at Mr. Ross, you know. Look at Mr. Holloway. I mean, they were a challenge, but they still enjoyed life.
That's
They
right.
came back and they want to get back in the community. And that's what this is about. You know, we can't sit on a corner and just start saying, oh man, these kids, they'll figure it out. We need to give them some guidance.
That's right.
Next time we get together, we're going to talk about something that me and his brother used to do back in the day when we were 16, 17 years old, what we did. Okay?
Yeah, we got to hurry up and get that. So y'all won't forget.
Okay?
I
Folks,
forgot.
man, we had a great show. Mr. Ross, Mr. Holloway, I mean, if y'all got some final comments for us before we shut down.
I would just offer this, and you know, I could be kind of talkative, and
That's all right.
I hope that I at least touched on, you know, the questions. I may not have answered them fully because I'm excited for the listening audience. But I'm available most times. When people call me, typically, you know, I'll pick up the phone if it says spam. Sometimes I even call back to see who that is. But you know, I'm here to share and to help someone else not make the same mistakes that I made, and it's free. You know, and I want to do that because I believe that's what we're here for, to give back. And as a friend of mine told me, we sow the seeds, but we may never see the fruit as long as we sow the seeds. Thank
That's
you.
all that matters.
Yes. And the last thing I'd like to leave everyone with again is listen. I can't say it enough. Listen. And if you want to get out of the rut and where you are, read 12-week year. That will help you get anything done. There's a book right there. He's holding it up. Read that book.
12.
And when you hear things, don't take it personal because it's not your business. It's whoever's talking about. That's their business. It ain't your business. People going to talk about you.
That's right. That's right.
Okay? But I always have a smile on my face, regardless of what's being said.
Right. Because it's all good. Folks, another great show. We ended June as Men's Mental Healthness. Y'all had a lot this month to take in. I know it's a lot. Y'all have the resources. Y'all will get to see this on YouTube. Don't give up out here. Let's keep pressing on to that upward mark. But until next week, y'all have a great evening and keep looking out for our young people because they are our future. Y'all have a good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
all.
Thank you.